Hello and welcome once again to the Decorate Your Home channel. Today I'm back at my mother's house because, as I mentioned a few videos ago, we're going to do a quick makeover of this garage. We're going to do things as interesting as painting windows, doors, walls, even floors. So you can't miss it. Let's get started. We're going to start by painting the windows, since they're quite old and the paint is practically coming off on its own. Well, we've already sanded it. My grandmother is now brushing it off a bit to finish cleaning it. Now we'll clean it a little better. Before painting, we cover the floor and wipe it with a vinegar-soaked damp cloth. To paint the window, we're going to use the same paint we used for my mother's doors and that we used for my grandmother's wardrobe. Is it this white one from Decor? To make it easier for us, we can paint the corners and the areas that are harder to reach with a brush or a paintbrush.
And the rest?
Leave it for the roller. We can use the Bellarex roller, which is the same one we used to paint the doors at my mom's house in the previous video. Once we had the window, my mom arrived and the two of us emptied the garage shelf. This is a record player for playing vinyl records. We have records by Mecano, Phil Collins, Alaska, and Los Pegamoides. A little bit of everything. And we keep going like this until everything is cleared out. We remove the screws from the shelf and protect the floor. We're going to start by painting this wall here and that one over there in the back. But before painting, we're going to apply this primer here because that way the paint sticks better to the wall. Without the primer, the cement or the previous paint might start to peel off a little. So with the primer, we make sure the paint sticks well. We're going to use this roller since it's drip-proof and honestly it works really well. We already painted my grandma's room. We dilute one part of the product with 2 parts of water and start spreading it on the wall. We let the wall dry completely and now it's ready to paint. And we start painting. With these sneakers, you can even dance the conga, right? This is the difference between the white color of the old wall and the white color we're applying with just one coat. The truth is, it's amazing how much this white color covers, because with just the first coat, you can hardly see the gray that was underneath. Well, now everything has one coat and honestly, it looks flawless. With just one coat, it turned out really well. The only thing is, we're going to give it 2 coats because in some spots, like over here, it's a little patchy. Because this part was plaster and this part was cement. So, since we're going to do it here, we'll give everything a second coat. And now we're going to have a snack and a little coffee that we have here to rest a bit while we wait for it to dry. To give it the second coat. After a couple of hours, we gave it the second coat of paint and removed some screws, hangers, and things that would get in the way the next day when painting. Yesterday, we left everything that was here. We left it all here so we could now proceed to paint this whole area here. What we're going to do is first apply the primer on the wall and then the paint. Look who's approaching. What's your opinion on how it's going?
It looks like a double, twice as big. How white and how pretty it looks, right? It looks really nice. It's a lot of work, you know, but the result looks so good that you don't even think about it anymore. I mean, when you're done, you don't think about the work anymore. You just think about how beautiful it turned out. While you're doing it, you say, oh, what a lot of work, what a lot of work. Well, everything takes work.
What would you say to those people who aren't quite motivated to make some changes to their home? Because they're afraid it might cost them a lot. What encouragement would you give them?
Be very enthusiastic. Have a strong desire to work and to do it. Remember, there's no need to rush. You can say, we'll do it in a couple of weeks. Don't put 3 because it's not professional. It takes you longer and you look at it more. But in the end, that's how it turns out. And with these paints that are really good and look so nice, go for it. It's just that I'm already quite old. But if I weren't, I'd still help Christina a little bit, not much. But if not, I would paint the whole house myself, the whole apartment inside. You had already done it when you were young, right? When I was young, yes, I used to paint every year. Back then, there were only brushes, no rollers. Rollers help you paint faster and achieve a better finish. It's worth using them. Yes, lots of strength and encouragement because you can do it. You can do it, but if you just go along with the crowd, you won't get it done, okay? With effort, but you have to make a little effort. Of course, everything requires a bit of effort, but the result is wonderful.
I came to rest a bit and have a coffee, and I'll show you my grandmother's dog, Thor. Run, take your little bed. Come on, come, bring it here.
Come on, come, bring it here. Hurry, come.
She can't carry the bed anymore. Come on.
Come, come. Up to here. Very good. Oh, very good. Well then.
We've painted these 2 walls once, but they need a second coat. First though, let me explain the floor. This afternoon, we're going to paint 2 areas. One is that area in the back, and the other is these wooden boards here. And we're going to do it this way because we have a lot of things in this garage and we don't have enough space in the house to put them. So by painting these 2 areas. Once they have dried, we'll put what we have in the garage on top. Why don't we do half of the garage first and then the other half? Well, basically, because if we did that, you would see a line in the middle from the paint mark once it had dried. So to avoid this, we're going to make the mark. Let it show there, even if you can't see it much, and then here on the wood pieces. You won't see anything because there's already an end, and this mark won't be noticeable. So we're going to do it like this way, and then when it's dry and we put it on top, we'll paint the rest of the garage. Well, while my mom is painting that area over there, I'm going to explain a little bit about the paints. We're going to use this one from Decor. This is the number and this would be the color. I'll leave all the paints in the description for you, both the ones for the floor and the ones for the wall. So what would be the mixture for this paint? For every liter of paint we need to add another liter of hardener and 10% thinner. That means if we make a mixture of 4 liters of paint, we have to add another 4 liters of hardener. And finally, 10% of thinner. In this case, since we're only going to paint that little part over there and this little part here, we're just going to make a small amount. The ratio is 1 liter, and the 10% will do in a separate container. And tomorrow, when we go to paint the rest of the garage, we'll make more and finish painting it. We start by cleaning the floor very well, sweeping, mopping with water and bleach, and scrubbing with a damp cloth in solvent. Meanwhile, my mom was giving the wall a second coat. We prepare the mixture, which as you know is the same proportion of catalyst as paint and about 10% solvent. It's important to stir both things before pouring them together. You can calculate the proportions with a measuring cup or with a water bottle, for example. To paint it, we're going to use the same roller we used for the walls, which is the anti-drip one. But I'm going to use this one because we washed it yesterday and let it dry completely so it doesn't shed lint. And well, we already have our mixture ready. What we're going to do to paint it is use the same technique we used to paint the interior doors. What we did was spread it all out and then go over it a few times. Like we were combing it. You'll see how it's done now. Okay, and once we've painted up to here, what we do is create the combed effect. We go over it several times, overlapping one with another and without paint. And now we continue. Now we must let it dry before applying the second coat. Well, in summer it would be an hour, and in winter, well, 4 hours or a day. It depends on how we see it, but 4 hours should be enough to start with. What I was telling you about the cut is that here, of course, when you apply the first coat here and the next day you apply it here, you'll see that there will be a small line, but well, it won't be too noticeable. If we put it here, unlike doing it in the garage where it would be more noticeable, here it will be much more subtle. When it's finished, you'll see it. Now we're going to paint these pieces of wood here. Remember, the floor has to be spotless. After a few hours, we apply the second coat of paint. We do exactly the same as with the first one. We paint and then we brush it out. Very good. Well, it's our third and last day, and as you know, these past 2 days we've been painting all the walls and 2 corners of the floor. So now we can put the motorcycle here and some boxes and the shelves over there in the back. So today what we're going to do is paint the rest of the garage, which is already empty. In the morning we'll give it the first coat, and in the afternoon when it's completely dry we'll give it the second one. There are some stains on this floor that are a little hard to remove, but we're going to use solvent, applying it directly. Do you see all these stains here that just won't come off? Well, even if they don't completely go away. Still, it's important to use solvent so it gets as clean as possible. All of this here, if we have any paint blobs, we need to scrape them off. And in our case, we have this piece of mortar here. It's important to make the paint a little more liquid for the first coat. First, vacuum it, then use the more liquid paint, and for the second coat, make it thicker, so it finally evens out with the rest. After cleaning everything several times and leaving it as clean as possible, we made the mixture and started painting the corners, which is the hardest part to reach with the roller. You can already see the incredible change the floor is going through. It looks like completely new tiles. My grandmother is going to give me a hand painting all the corners, because first we'll paint the corners and then we'll paint the rest. And while she's painting the corners, I'll be working on that part over there, and then we'll continue over there. There wouldn't be a problem if we wanted to use this paint to paint a concrete floor. It has extremely high hardness and resistance, as well as dust-proof properties and protection against oil or fuel spills, which makes it ideal for garages. Later on, I'll show you how we clean it, but I can already tell you that it's clean just like any other regular floor. We can even clean it with bleach, as long as the recommended 20 days of drying have passed. We've applied the first coat and it looks spectacular. Let's check if it's dry. My mother, Mom, what do you think?
How beautiful! What did you right? Yes.
But it was worth it. It turned out spectacular. And now finally, it's time to rest a little and eat some lentils that my grandma made. They look amazing.
No, you can't imagine.
What? How are you? Are you tired or not?
Man, it's just that you put it in right away, but I recover right away.
You're coming back for more this afternoon, right?
Well, yes.
Now time to eat. And even though at first we were going to give it a second coat that afternoon, we decided to wait a couple of days. Well, here we are, another morning in the garage. In the last video, I mentioned that we planned to apply a second coat of paint to the floor in the afternoon. But in the end, we decided to wait a few days for it to finish drying. The only thing is that my mother had a really good idea, which is to make a baseboard all around the perimeter. Since the garage doesn't have a baseboard, we're going to use this little piece of wood to mark it. And that way, we'll have a kind of baseboard, but with paint. First of all, what we're going to do is paint the 2 doors that we still have left to paint here. And then we'll do the baseboard. And finally, the second coat on this floor, and we'll be done. Let's get to it. I'm going to show you a bit of paint that we managed to salvage from a bucket, so you can see what the result looks like. It's like a kind of plastic. That's how the paint turns out. Completely flexible, adhered to the floor, and it creates a protective layer like this because it's thick. Once we had marked the baseboard, we put masking tape on it to make it straight and started painting. While my mother was painting the baseboard, I was sanding the door and cleaning it with vinegar. Then I started painting. It's important to dilute the paint with a little more solvent so it's a bit more liquid than what you would use for the floor. I recommend using the Velurex roller, which is the one we used for the window. This time I forgot to put it in solvent and it hardened. But it's much more comfortable and easier to use for doors and windows. Once we've painted the baseboards, it's important to remove the tape before it dries. And finally, let's go for the second coat. First of all, cleaning. And let's get started. Just to give you an idea of the paint we've used, this garage is 32 square meters. And we've used about 8 liters of paint, including the fact that we've also painted the doors and another area of the garage. We'll show you that soon if you want to calculate how much paint you need. The ratio is half a liter of paint and half a liter of hardener for every 6 square meters per coat. But this will vary depending on the surface. We put the shelf in its place and we screwed it back to the wall. We also put everything back in its place, but better organized.
And finally, we had it.
Honestly, the result is amazing. As you make progress, it feels like you forget how it looked before. Luckily, we have the videos to remind us and see the huge difference. I want to take this opportunity to tell you that once everything is painted, we need to wait. 20 days before parking the car, putting something heavy on top, or using bleach to clean it. It's very, very important. We've made the floor a little dirty with ketchup so you can see that it cleans perfectly. However, this time we haven't used bleach yet because the recommended 20 days haven't passed. That's all for today's video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like to let us know and we'll make more similar content. See you next time.